Academic Crossroads with your host, Dr. Leanne J. Adeyemi. On Fire Radio.
Fire burning in my soul. Fire burning in my soul. Fire, fire, fire. Fire burning in my soul.
Radio. Anytime, anywhere.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Academic Crossroads for another week in our series of career insights. We are still getting into tech. So if you enjoyed last week, like we said, we have some more special things for you this week. And obviously I am not alone here in the studio. I have my wonderful guests who have rejoined us from last week. But if you weren't here, then you don't know, right? So let us introduce them to you.
Hey guys, it's Glow. I'm back again to talk about tech.
And on the other side,
it's Chinonso Ude, here to talk to you guys about technology, tech. That's it.
So we have Glow and Chin in the studio. So thank you both for joining us. Now, last week we went on a bit of a journey through tech. We looked at like what tech was. We also looked at, and we actually realized that there's tech in so many things, whether it's like job roles in the things that we use day to day as well, and just discussing about how it's progressed and actually how much it's integrated into our everyday lives as well.
Yeah.
And so from that, we saw even from like the way that we pay for things now, right? It's gone to the point where you can pay on your watch. Honestly,
exactly. That's just, I think that's one of the most amazing things, just this sense of tech where, you know, before, and I think this was probably one of the biggest recaps that we experienced or we spoke about as the show was going on, this sense of everything becoming much more simple. And on top of that, the world is literally heading towards that direction, meaning that as humans begin to automate and make things much more, you know, efficient, tech is always going to be something that is very, very, very necessary. So yeah, that's just generally that. What do you think, Golo?
No, I think with tech, it's all about automation, as you said before, and it's all about making things easier. And it's not ideal that when people think tech is so difficult to get into, like we spoke about last week, you just have to think, how can I make my life easier?
Come on,
That's literally what tech is about. And I think when people take away that notion of, oh, it's difficult, and actually look at it for the practical basis, they realize they have a lot of skills that they can transfer over. And we spoke about that last week, the transferable skills.
Exactly. You know what? There's a title for people like you. They call them tech evangelists.
Wow.
You know, jokes. Tech evangelists.
Wait, hold up, rewind.
Tech evangelists. You know what?
I want a definition.
You want a definition?
What is a tech evangelist?
Let me open ChatGPT first. I'm joking. Now, generally speaking, so let's say there's people you go into schools and evangelize, literally, and it's called literally a term, evangelizing about tech or speaking to people about tech, encouraging them to actually get into tech is actually a word. Tech evangelist. Yeah.
Well, I want to be an evangelist first. First. You
get me? Then maybe tech. Interesting.
Amen.
Yeah.
So we spoke about all the real life skills required, and also we started to touch on like, well, actually no, we spoke about your paths into tech.
Yeah.
And obviously we established that, Flo, you are you're in the earliest stages of your journey. So for those of you that weren't tuned in last week but you're listening now, Glorioness is studying neuroscience, and she's transitioning.
Neuroscience.
Neuroscience.
I was about to start praying, you know. Neuroscience. So you're smart, basically. Just say yes, man.
You're smart. Be honest.
No.
Yes.
I'll take
Yes.
it. But one thing I've
read your work.
I'm smart.
You're smart.
Amen. By the grace.
Amen.
I'm smart too as well, innit?
Oh, is that what they say?
And then we have someone that's more of a veteran, right, Chin?
Yeah. You know what? I'm smart in my own special way, right? But
is that what they told you growing up?
In fact, still, it's cool. After the show, we'll talk. But now, your joke aside, my role was the more traditional computer science route, you know. So yeah, it was quite interesting, to be honest. Yeah.
So we have someone in the introductory stages of their journey, and someone who is
a guru.
Guru. Okay, a self-proclaimed guru. If you have any tech questions, please head to Chin. And so this week we wanted to actually, because it's all well and good us having the conversations, but we need to direct people to where they can actually go, right? Exactly. And obviously, Glow, you being in the earlier stages, you're probably looking into these places right now. Yeah. And then Chin, for yourself as well, you've been looking into them, you've been directing people to them. You know the ones that are sort of the best place to maybe look, or the ones that if you want to go for specific routes, then where to look. So where can we find roles in tech? So for those that maybe are on courses into tech, but also for those like Glorines who is transitioning from another field, like where can we go, and what have you found that's been really helpful?
Good question. I think when it comes to tech roles, you have the usual. You have your Indeeds, you have your LinkedIn. So a general job board, that's okay for you to actually look on to find tech roles, and that's probably more suited for people who are actually in tech. So you've already worked at a tech job before, you're looking for another tech role. LinkedIn, Indeed, just the regular. But I'll say it also depends the route that you're looking to go through. For example, there's some people where the best website to go on is the government's apprenticeship website. That's a website where you jump on and you're going to literally see every single, you're going to see all the different forms of apprenticeships related to tech. And that's what a genuinely good place. So the government, they have a portal where you can get a lot of apprenticeship websites. On top of that as well, so LinkedIn again. Looking at communities, that's very important, because there's some communities specifically dedicated for different individuals trying to get into tech. So for example, I know that there's one called Black Girls Code. Yes. We've probably heard about that one before.
I'm part of their group. So
tell us a bit more about that, Glow.
Yes, so with Black Girls Code, it's just a community of women who are getting into tech and those who are already actually in the tech field. And in terms of LinkedIn, that's really important. There are lots of groups and societies where you can actually get into and be open up to a world of tech through different lenses. And it's not just from the traditional, look for a job, but there's also communities where you can look at blog posts, and you can look at different ways that you can get a job. They might post vacancies on there and that kind of stuff. So it's really important to integrate yourself into different networks and communities on LinkedIn. That's where it's worked for me. But Chin, you also spoke about Indeed and some other platforms as well. It's
interesting, because did you tell me that you did the Black Girl Coding thing?
No, I actually didn't.
Did you WhatsApp me?
No.
Did you iMessage me?
No.
Did you? I'm playing. But all jokes aside, so LinkedIn communities, that's one of the very important place to go at. Recently, actually, someone sent me a spreadsheet of different communities that offer pathways into coding or into tech in general, because as we know last time, it's not just about coding, it's about things in general. So essentially what it is just go out there, create a LinkedIn profile, let people know you are into tech, let them know that, and just be open, search for different opportunities, because your journey into tech, if it's not through the traditional route, you have to kind of make up your own route, and it's okay. It's not going to be orthodox, it's not going to be university per se, but you're going to be able to do it. So essentially, I'll say LinkedIn. It's like I know people who come to me and ask me they want to get into tech. I tell them, do you have a LinkedIn page? If they don't say that, if they say no, I tell them you're not ready. Go create a LinkedIn page, then come back, because you're gonna have to be bold and open. Because bold and open, I'll say.
Definitely. With LinkedIn, sometimes you have to be a beg, and people think, oh no, trust me.
I feel you.
Put everything out there whatever you've done. So if you've gone to an event, write about the event that you've spoken about. So say, I went to this event. Even if you just took one tip, just write that you took one tip and talk about it. Be like, oh yeah, I did this, I did that, I met excellent people. Tag everyone that you went to. On LinkedIn, be adding people that you want to aspire to be like. Don't just sit there, okay, I've made the LinkedIn profile now. Do you think the work's going to just magically appear?
No way.
So make an effort, add people. So I've been on LinkedIn probably properly for maybe less than 6 months. And already I have maybe, and it might be a small number to begin with, but it'll be like 250 connections.
Wow.
And it's not just because I've been sat there, but you actually have to reach out and sometimes message people. Oh, I really liked what you posted about this. Are there any other events? There are also other people like you who are trying to get into tech. There's this one girl, she recently connected with me from Manchester.
Wow.
She saw my LinkedIn profile and thought, oh, you're doing something similar to me and I want to get into tech. And we started talking and now we're going to an event together. But something as simple as that, you don't know what that connection will be in the future. She could be a future CEO, but because we went to an event together, it's a big thing. So that's my...
And even with that now, so obviously I'm a software engineer and I create mobile applications. Now everyone knows the next big push in the world is artificial intelligence and machine learning. I'm already established to some degree in this field. I'm already messaging people who into AI and machine learning. You know, what are you guys doing? How's your day-to-day like? Because, you know, as we did mention last time on the show, people feel happy. There's a sense of accomplishment and achievement they feel when they're having conversations with people trying to get into tech. They have that. So, you know, sometimes you might be thinking, you know, if I speak to this person, they're going to be sad, or I mean not sad, they're going to be intimidated, or they're not really going to receive me well. When in reality, have that conversation and you don't know, literally doors have been opened by just a hey on LinkedIn, by what do you do on your day-to-day. I'm really encouraged when I see people reach out to me. If you reach out to me about tech, first, it shows a sense of entrepreneurship. It shows a sense of boldness. It shows a sense that you're serious about this thing, to the place where if you reached out to me, a stranger, it means that if I give you some work to do or something to work upon, you actually have that resilience and the mindset to actually, you know, go through with it, you know? So...
Yeah, that reaching out thing is really important, and it's really good. It's a really good way just to also help you build your confidence as well.
Correct,
because sometimes you feel like, I wouldn't want to, like, oh, how should I message them? You're not sure how you should message them. But especially for like somewhere like LinkedIn, I know we've spoken about LinkedIn a lot, but for somewhere like LinkedIn, the majority of people on there are messaging people and wanting, or not necessarily wanting, but if they receive messages themselves, they're willing to give.
100%,
as well. So, like you're saying, it is really a good place. So, for tech specifically as well, you're saying like the community is just building a profile alone, and connecting with people, messaging people, commenting on posts, and things like that. And you mentioned Otter as well earlier. So, is that like? I'm assuming that's like the Indeed of tech?
Yeah, so Otter and Chord. Now, Otter specifically is for, let's say, for example, is specifically for tech roles. Now, Chord is a different form of recruiting and applying for jobs. So instead of me going to a company's portal and putting in information about me and submitting my CV, I speak directly to the hiring manager. So let me give you a scenario. Let's say, Dr. Leanne, you have an amazing research company, and Glorioness, you're a manager there. Amen. And Glorioness, you're a manager there. And you're hiring people as well. So you're a hiring manager, essentially you're in control, you're in charge of just the next wave of people coming in. So you're the hiring manager, you're in charge of the entire process. Now, rather than me just going to the website, right, and just saying, you know, hey, I want to apply, I speak directly to the hiring manager. So it's more conversational, and you're able to pick out the skills that you want in the role by asking me directly, rather than looking at a vague CV. You can ask me straight, how much years of software engineering do you have? So, you know, there's many different ways. And also a big thing as well, Chord obviously is a website dedicated for that. I know genuinely people who've bypassed many interview loops by just asking questions. Hey, I realize you work at HSBC. You know, I like the sound of this company. Are you guys hiring? And in your mind, you already know they're hiring.
Yeah.
You know, but that sense of boldness, because I'll tell you the truth, and this is where I believe that God has kind of blessed me a bit. I've been trying to work on knowing how to speak and knowing how to convey my emotions. Sounds regular, but developers and people in tech, sometimes they really struggle with that. Yeah. So if you're good at talking, trust me, you automatically stand out. If you're bold enough to not be someone in a room just in dark coding, but you're able to go to these events, you genuinely stand out.
No, I 100% agree, because I went to the Women in Tech event, and one thing they spoke about was soft transferable skills.
Oh, come on, yeah.
It's so everyone goes to uni. Everyone's found a path. Like, they've gone through GCSEs, they've gone through A levels or college. The hard skills are there. We know that you've gotten an A star in maths, but can you hold a conversation if you have to deliver a presentation to a manager or to stakeholders? If you can't do that, then you can't deliver with the job. Do you actually have a passion and a drive for what you want to do in this field?
That's right.
You can't convey that on a CV. So when you spoke about conversations are really important and they're essential. They want to know your personality. They want to know of who you are.
Correct.
But if you're just, okay, you think about it in a linear, traditional way, nothing will ever work. How are you supposed to do some groundbreaking things if you're doing it the way everyone else has? So bypass the loopholes, talk to the hiring managers, and even if they don't hire you, ask them, you know, I applied for this role, what skills didn't I have that you wanted to see in my CV?
Correct,
is there any way that you can help me develop that? People are looking to mentor people just because it looks good on them and it makes them feel good. Take advantage of people's self-love and propel and excel.
Yeah. So what's so deep about what you said? This was, I think, the summer after COVID, or the summer of COVID. So I think a year into my role at Sainsbury's, I had a conversation with my mentor, and I felt like I'm a big boy now. I want to go and do things, kind of thing, right? So I end up applying for Snapchat, and at the time, you know, Snapchat was this big billion-dollar company, and if you work for Snapchat in the tech world, you're going to be known as that guy or that person. So as I said before, there's Fang, there's Manga, these guys like Meta, Amazon, Netflix, Google, all of that, they're big companies. So I applied for the role, reached out to the hiring manager directly, had conversations, kind of gave him a bit of a brief on my background. Hey, don't really know a lot about all of this coding, all these big tech interview styles. So, you know, I definitely want some help with that. Number one, I didn't make it. Basically, I made it to the final round, and trust me, it was mad. It was crazy. It's easier to get into Harvard, right, than most of these big tech companies, literally on paper, because the amount of applicants and everything. Yeah. So essentially that now. So when that happened now, I messaged him after and I had a conversation and I said, unfortunately I didn't make it through. Then he said, yeah, no problem, it is tough. And he sent me resources and material on how I could potentially, you know, interview for other big tech companies. And we've been in communication ever since. So that's what you said is so true. I think it's about building connections. Tech is such an amazing place where you can build connections. Why? Because somebody will move to a company that you might want to necessarily work for in a year or 2 or even 3 years time. You never know.
Exactly
that. Yeah, definitely. And it's like, there also, with what you said, Glow, in terms of like asking for feedback. I know people that have actually gotten jobs because they asked for feedback. So initially they weren't even given the job, but then because they just reached out and asked for feedback, then they were given either the same position or another position in the same company. So it definitely works. And also it's to your benefit as well. Like you genuinely, to ask for feedback though, it's one of those things that we've spoken about here before, but actually take it on board and do it.
You're correct. Yeah.
Because you never know, like for some, I know someone that went to an interview and the person was like, they're just not ready yet. Here's all the feedback. Then that person went for the interview again and they got the role because the person that was interviewing them was basically like, I can literally see that you took on board the feedback that I gave you, and now you have your new role. Ben, you've said that engineers too, you'd be shocked how many can't work in a team effectively. And and so it is really, really important building those soft skills. And even at university, you'll be surprised that how much you look on. So when we
those
going
days
through applications and things like that, you don't just look at the grades. Like the grades are great, and the grades probably show like, okay, where is this person at the moment? But you also understand that grades aren't everything.
Correct.
So if you have somebody that maybe they've got straight 9s, but they haven't done anything else, then it's like you don't really know the person that you're reading about. You can't really see who this person is, how they're going to contribute to the university, because that's also the other thing, isn't it? When you're going for jobs and you're applying for companies, as much as they want to know that you're going to do the job, they want to know that you can work in that team. They
100%.
want to know that you're going to add
value.
You're going to add value to your role, to your team, to the company as a whole.
Correct.
And you know, you're going to be representing that company, and depending on the role as well, if you have to go and speak somewhere, or depending on what it is exactly that your role requires you to do, they need to know you as a well-rounded well-rounded person. So that was something that I think I spoke about it before, about my friend saying he wants biceps on his CV.
Was he looking for like a partner? Or was he, you get me? Was he looking for a partner? Or, it's like me saying I'm I'm compassionate and putting it on my CV. Like,
no, the biceps were like, okay, yes, the grade, but also you want your CV to be so solid and so strong that when they're looking at it, it's not just the grades, it's wow, this person can do this job and more.
Okay, and capacity.
So, exactly.
Makes sense. Capacity.
And so with that as well, it's the case of, okay, when you will be, if we were to hire you, what else are you going to bring other than just being able to do your job? Because there's a lot of skills as well that you need to develop, and it's easier if you come with the skills but don't necessarily have experience in the area in some instances, than having loads of experience in the area but you just don't have the skills that are needed.
Interesting. What's so interesting about that, so there's certain roles you see advertised, software engineer, so very generic, so it's very, very generic. All you know is you're going to be working behind a computer, but then you actually get to the role and you realize they want you to now start presenting demos. So they want someone who can speak. Then on top of that, they now want you to start learning different things, or things that are in different functions of a business. So okay, there's certain jobs I've got not on the basis of my technical skills. They're okay, but generally by a sense of having a desire and passion to learn. And that's one of the biggest things I say whenever you're communicating in an interview. Always show that sense of, I want to learn everything. I'm a self-learner. You kind of vibe, because once you show that to them, they know that, okay, cool, you're moldable. And that's what they essentially want. Moldable employees.
That is so, and I repeat, so important. You have to be malleable, because you can't tell where you're going to be in the next 10 years or where you're going to be in the next 5 years. If you're not malleable and you're not willing to learn, you're not going to go anywhere, because you're essentially with the quote that came into my head was like, your grades can get you in the door. I did modify it from Professor, thank you. That your grades will get you in the door, but your personality is what will make you stay.
Whoa, that's a Bible verse. Where's that?
You have to present that, listen, I might not have the skills, or I'm ready to be developed, because anyone can be a software engineer. Like they have, well, not
she just said anyone could do your job.
It's getting personal, It's getting personal. Not anyone,
What I'm trying to say is, in a room of 10 software engineers, they could all probably complete the task that you have to do. But it's not everyone that has the skill, or everyone that has your personality.
100%.
So if that's not shining through, and if it's not shining through that you want to learn, they're gonna literally say, oh, yep, next person. And someone who might not have fitted into the role as well as they could have will take your position, just because you didn't want to shine teeth in the interview. You just wanted to be like, yep, I can do this, I can do that, but okay, how? That's why they always ask, how can you do this role? If you were in this circumstance, what would you do? They're not asking that because they want to know what your solution is. They want to know your train of thinking or your thought behind it. So that's what. Anyways, I digress, but it's really important.
Wherein Ben has said facts. That's why companies will always look to keep on apprentices / interns, etc., because they can mold them to the company's needs. And Steph, you've also said, yes, people skills. You can teach technical skills, but it's more difficult to teach social skills. Exactly, especially when you're in a working environment. Sometimes there's just not time. When there's time pressures and you've got deadlines and things are moving fast, like sometimes there's not the time to actually develop those skills in some industries. And so if you've already got them,
just ride on.
We can develop the rest as you go. So we've mentioned Otter, which is more a place where you would like upload your CV or apply in that way. And we've also mentioned Cord, which is more speaking directly to hiring managers, which must bypass so much stuff
100%
as well. Which is good. And also you mentioned LinkedIn and saying that actually communities within the tech realms, the tech world, that actually LinkedIn communities is a very, very good place to start. So whether you are looking to get into tech, and this is like, when I say get into tech, I mean like transition from another field, or you're just starting out as well. But these are places that people can go. And more recently as well, within the past few years, especially here, like in the UK, there's been a lot more grad schemes and a lot more like government funded schemes. Like there was something at one point where you could go and do a master's at so many different universities across the country, and it was all paid for.
Yeah, nice.
As well. And so there are things out there like that. So and there's a lot of funding as well available, especially now in like the time that we're in and how everything is moving so fast with tech. There's a lot of funding schemes as well. So making sure that if you are looking to get into that, then that is something that you look into as well. Yeah,
and it's all about, as you said, being up to date with what's going on. I saw recently on the news 2 big pieces of information that kind of encouraged me gave me the inspiration to want to pivot from software engineering to actually AI and machine learning. So first, Klarna, they recently announced that first they laid off a lot of people, number one. Then they said that they had an AI bot which is doing the job of 700 people. 700 people. So imagine now there's, the AI bot, maybe it runs 20,000 a month to run because there's a lot of conversations happening. But instead of paying 700 people, let's say, for example, I was going to say 7 million, or let's say one random figure, you're only spending 20K.
Pay them $1,000 a month.
do you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's cheaper, obviously, you get me? So it's that sense of, cool, the wind is already shifting towards AI, we see it. But then also, what's more pivotal, the government, and this is linking back to what you said, they said that they wanted to invest around 1 billion into artificial intelligence and machine learning, meaning that, cool, we're going to very soon see masters, paid by the government for people to get into machine learning. If you are running or looking to open a company, artificial intelligence / machine learning, that is the way to go. Why? Because, okay, let's go back. SpaceX, have you guys ever heard of SpaceX before? That's Elon Musk and everything. So people don't actually know that the money that they've been making primarily was by government contracts, because the government will subsidize your business, because first, you're an American company, number one. You're going to help the American industry as well. So now, what I'm trying to say, anyone getting into tech, one of the best things to do is understand what's popping in tech at the moment and see how, if you're an entrepreneur, how your entrepreneurial desires or your ambitions can actually match the wave of what the government is saying as well. So that's what you're saying in essence. The government are interested in this. They're trying to help you. So help the government help you. You get me? And get into tech.
Help them help
you. Help them help you. And by doing that, you're helping yourself. You get me?
But yeah, there is so much funding. And we did have a Academic Crossroads episode as well a few months ago. And it was all around scholarships and funding. So there will be some tips in there in terms of applications and how to go about those. And I mean, what you're saying as well, like, I even know nurses who they're trying to encourage to get into like robotics and things like that. So it's broad. It's not just a case of like, oh, you have to work on a specific app or something like that, or for a specific company who owns an app that everybody knows and stuff like that. Like, the possibilities are out there.
Endless,
and they are endless. Especially where everything is moving with tech. So that's just a touch base, more for the older ones, I think. more for the adult listeners, for those of you that are studying already, for those of you that are coming to the end of your studies, or you may be working as well. These are places that you can go and check out roles, and maybe you weren't thinking about it, but maybe just have a look.
Try.
Maybe just give it a try and see what is out there.
What's the worst that can happen?
What's the
you
worst?
get a good, well-paying job. Your life changes. You're now hippie. You can speak to the young children, Gen Z, and you don't look like an elderly person.
Can you imagine?
You can now use a phone without going like this. That, do you get me? So I'm just saying, innit?
So. For those of us that fit into all of the above,
the elders,
then these are avenues and ways that you can actually look into it and just see what's out there and see how maybe what you've already done and how those soft skills can transition across. So good evening, everybody. Thank you all for joining us. We didn't really touch base with our listeners just yet.
It's true.
We were having too much fun in the studio.
If you see the bloopers and the blunders as well.
It's not
funny. If not.
But good evening, Steph, Ben, Goodness, Mama Nobu, Nix, Minister. Who else is joining us? Joseph, Mercy, Steph. Is that Juso?
That's my mum,
Oh, hello, Mum.
Hey. Mummy Chin.
How are you? The way you said it so casually.
Yeah, that's
Good evening, Mummy Chin. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us here on Academic Crossroads. It is a pleasure to have your son on the show.
I don't blush, but I'm blushing.
I can see.
So good evening, Shay, Nigel, as well, Stella, Tendai. Thank you all for joining us. Joseph as well. I don't know if I said Joseph. Oh, Abdul. Hey Abdul. How are you? You touched base.
That guy, he's doing amazing stuff in America. You know him. Let me not say too much, but he's a tech. I was gonna say a wizard, but it just sounds wrong.
That sounds very.
It sounds very. He's a tech angel. Doesn't make okay. He's good with tech.
Into tech.
He's getting into.
Abdul
I was gonna say that.
Exactly.
I was literally gonna say that. It was on the tip of my tongue.
It's too late now.
So,
Abdul is getting into tech. Maybe he'll touch base with us on the show at some point. We've got some more stuff coming, so we'll let you know about that a little bit later. So those are for the jobs, the roles, those transitioning and stuff. So what have you found, especially because Chin, you actually went to a primary school the other day, didn't you?
Yeah,
a secondary school, sorry, to do a talk regarding tech as well, obviously, because it was programming. Yeah. It was programming week. And so what types of things have you found, and would you recommend parents as well to sort of help their children get into tech, or those that are interested, what avenues can you take? And Glow, there might even be stuff that you've seen as well. Okay, so it's interesting. I think one of the best things to do is study the patterns of your children, what are your children doing? And the reason is, a lot of children spend a lot of time playing video games, right? And they're spending hours just dedicating their time to playing video games, and there's no reward. All they maximum get is maybe a trophy online. When in reality, you can encourage your child, because remember, when you're young, you're malleable. That's the word. Malleable. I think that's the word. I think that's the word for the malleable. You get me? Because if you tell a child, wow, here's this computer, I want you to start building things with it all. There's this thing that people have been speaking about, coding. I want to see what you can do with it. A child will be like, okay, I'm on a computer, so automatically it's fun. Then they start looking, okay, mom, dad, look at what happened. I typed this in and look. I remember the first program I made, I was excited. Right, and this was whilst I was in sixth form. I wasn't even a child. I worked with a Raspberry Pi. I basically created a form of a traffic light system, and it sounds technical, but it's not that big. I wanted to go home. Imagine I'm 16. I wanted to show my mom, mommy, look, mom, Mark Zuckerberg has nothing on me. That's literally how I felt. Do you get me? So imagine you have a younger. I feel like we need mom to We need mum to confirm the how good this was, because the way you're describing it.
Remember what I said? I said I wanted to, because I wanted to until I started messing around and I realized it didn't work as well as I intended.
That chat.
You get me? And you know them ones, you show your dad will be like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, what now? And so, okay.
Is that it?
So essentially now I realized encouraging them, buy them if you bought them a computer or even an iPad, download things that encourage coding, encourage programming. Why? Because first, if it feels that sense of, they're on their computers, right? That's okay. But on top of that, they're being actively encouraged. They're actively learning. They're solving certain problems. And it first starts with that. Then on top of that now, all of a sudden, you might, as I said in the last show, you might ask them, okay, it's nice if we had a form of a rota of who's going to clean the dishes. Now, those bright ones will instantly think, okay, I could actually build this. Yep. I've seen on YouTube people using coding, because one of the biggest barriers for people actually creating applications is that they don't know how to code. But if you know how to code and mum and dad want something and you want to shock them, all of a sudden you just jump on YouTube, create the application, mum, dad, look at this. Now, as they're busy showing that to you, as a mum, dad, you're impressed. But on top of that, they're going to be able to write that on their CV. Yes. I was about to preach, Let me relax. But essentially, so I'll take it easy. But what I'll say, generally speaking, when it comes down to it, is encourage your children. Definitely. Many great programmers, they'll say their parents bought them a computer for programming. And then that's when they fell in love with the entire thing. So don't buy your kids PlayStation 4s. Or you can if you want to mess things up. Don't buy them PS5s. Don't buy them, random things just because they want it. Buy them a coding computer. And there's coding computers such as Raspberry Pis dedicated to teaching people how to code. Do that, and trust me, when they give you their first paycheck, you'll thank me. In fact,
10%.
They'll give you the second paycheck, because they're gonna give me the first paycheck. That one, write it down.
He's reaping the
exactly, just in case.
But Chin, that's so good. I didn't actually, genuinely, I hadn't thought of that before as well. That actually, if you need stuff done in the house and you know that your kids are interested in certain things, and you can get them to use the things that they're interested in, like coding, if they like computers and things like that. Like you're saying about, okay, we need, like, you're all gonna wash the dishes.
So
that's not the option. Exactly. The option is how we get about going about doing the rota.
Exactly. Tell them that I don't want to be reminding. So parents, they always tell you, I don't know why am I always reminding you to take the meat out of the freezer. You've heard that one before.
We're there.
So you get me. Even me, it wasn't me. My sister used to get it so much. I was just like, hey, you know what? This one's sad. So imagine now, for example, because of that, you make an app. I know, even though there's reminders, but it bursts creativity in them. And once that spark of creativity it first sparks, you won't be able to stop them. These guys will go crazy. Yeah.
And even on a neuroscience base, because I can't forget my roots.
Hey.
Here we go.
Here we go.
We've been waiting.
So in terms of planning, problem solving, that is exercising something called your executive functioning. So that is basically, how you plan your routes. You remember your favorite recipe. And it's all in the prefrontal cortex, so the front part of your brain. And that is one of the biggest parts, if I remember correctly. So you getting your child to exercise those skills as young, bearing in mind these are skills that we put on our CV. If you're getting your child to practice that from a young age, you're increasing their brain activity. And okay, if I can find this solution and it doesn't work, I can also try this solution and it doesn't work. It builds them, it allows them to become bold.
Come on.
And on top of that as well, instead of just getting them to sit down and have something decay their mind, you're actually increasing their brain size. The more they learn, the more their brain actually grows. Wow. But if you're just putting them, okay, PS4, they've killed, shot, then what?
Scores.
Exactly.
FIFA.
So there's actually nothing beneficial to it. But with exercising your executive functioning, you're actually building their capacity to even handle things like pressure, stress. In the world that we face today, everything is so fast paced. And if you're not able to have that from young, you can't then try to develop that as a child. It's never going to work. I see you guys are. I'll read it in. No.
It's a comment that I saw.
Pastor's got competition with all these medical explanations.
No. You're the top dog.
Inspiration. But so going from we'll go from the tech. We've now gone to the neuroscience. We'll come back to mummy. Mummy and
dimensions. There's realms in this, you know. Come on.
But and that flows as well into learning environments for children. So learning environments are so important because they build soft skills. They build a child's ability to work independently, to work collaboratively.
Yeah.
They build boldness. They build confidence, and all of these things are really important for when children are developing. And if you can create a positive learning environment for a child that actually facilitates these things, it gives them opportunities, it gives them a chance to take risks as well, and still be safe. Then things like that are really, really helpful for their development and their actually ability to achieve as well, academically, but also outside of the realm of academia. So we're all here for facilitating these types of things within the learning environments. So actually our children can thrive beyond their now. Because sometimes it's like when I was younger, I really liked watching cartoons. I could sit there for hours.
What was your favourite cartoon?
What was my favourite cartoon? Do you know? It's okay.
Was it in black and white or was it colourful?
No, so there was this. It was actually one Disney. It was actually one Disney movie. Right? Wait, I just clocked what you said.
You didn't get it.
Excuse me.
No.
She not so.
No. It's because what she was thinking. I just said it.
No.
I just said what people think.
I wasn't thinking anything.
Okay.
Doctor.
I got it wrong.
I respect you so much.
I was gonna say that's very bad thought. That's what's gonna. Yeah. Sorry, doctor.
Don't worry. It's okay. You know what's coming. So, and it was actually a cartoon that was just like music and colours and like dancing things and stuff like that. So it was very visual, but just sitting there for like I could literally sit there for hours, like just at a screen. And now with my kids, I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
We're like, nope. Like we minimize screen time, all of that kind of thing. But actually using and allowing them to still integrate in it, because it's in the world today, right? They're gonna they go to school, even at their age now, being at schools and at nurseries, they have interactive whiteboards, they're using tablets and things like that. So it's not something that they'll never come across unless we introduce it. It's already out there. And so looking at ways that we can actually facilitate the learning onto and directing it into the places that we want it to go, then that's really important for parents.
And I think building healthy habits, so you integrating that screen time, you've not just allowed your children to say, I can pick screen time and I can also learn how to, so basically you've taught them a learning process. So
exactly.
Here's screen time, I have the option to use it, but it's not beneficial in this time. That's really important. And I think parents should really treasure how much they impact their children's learning environments. So if in the environment it's just loud noises and your child just works in loud noises, best believe when they grow up they will struggle to work in silence. Even if I'm even stumbling on my words. Even if it's the best option for them to work in silence to produce the best work, because they've grown up in an environment where it's just noise, that's all they will do. But if you train your child in this you come to church, there's noise because we praise, because we pray, because we do this. If you've told your child at 6 a.m. you're going to hear Holy Ghost fire because there's daybreak, your child will then know growing up, okay, at 6 a.m. we do this. So I know there's time to pray, but I also know there's quiet time to read the word, but I also know there's quiet time to do academia. You allow your child to build those processes, so when they get to an adult, they're not struggling with time management. Again, that's another skill people put on their CV. I'm excellent at time management.
Yeah, correct.
But your child can't be excellent at time management if you're not implementing that in their learning environments to begin with.
And it's also important for your children to see you do what you want them to do. So as much as, because how many of us when we were growing up, I'll make sure you don't answer this one because I know mummy is.
I'm reading the comments.
Mummy's tuned in with us today.
I plead the fifth. This one, no comment.
But growing up, there were some things that maybe our parents would tell us to do, or there was that like rhetoric of do as I say, not as I do. And obviously for them, maybe there were some habits that they really wanted us to develop in and really wanted us to grow in, but for them, they didn't. It wasn't implemented early enough.
Exactly.
And so if we can capture our children when they're younger, in the sense of actually showing them what they need to do and showing them what they need to be, it's like we can actually they'll see it happening, they then understand the processes of it as well. It's like, oh, okay, so after I finish my food, I go and clear my plate and I put it in the sink. If they see you as a parent or a significant other, it doesn't just have to be a parent, but aunties and uncles that are around a lot and stuff like that, then if they see you doing that process, then they will normalize to it as well. So it's really important that as parents, we're actually doing the things that we're expecting our children to be doing, and not just telling them, go and do this, go and do this, go and do this, because then they're having a live example in their home. If you want your children to go and do certain things, and they need that that experience role modeled for them in the home as well.
Yeah, so I think that's very important, as you did say. And as with the conversations been going, I've realized, you know, a lot of these people who've went on to have a very amazing careers in tech, especially those who've actually been outstanding, and actually the billionaires is from young. That is a culture. It's a culture that they're fed or they're taught, which is quite interesting. So I do believe it is so true. Just that environment, the environment is so important. You know, so cool, your kids have computers, that's okay, right? But, you know, ensure that you're gearing them, feeding them towards a very specific place on the computer. Fine tune it. Do you get me? Like, there's certain websites I know, let's say repo.it, where people are able to code on it, learn how to code. Put that in front of them. Say, cool, you know, you guys are always on the computer. You can be on the computer, but I want you guys to do this. Create for me a mini program that does A, B, C, and D, and they will shock you.
Definitely. I saw this on LinkedIn. It was a Black Girls in Code. So in honor of the programming week, they released a Code Along Junior. So kids can actually, so even if you can't take your kids to, let's say, extracurricular activities outside of the home, in the comfort of your own home, just put the computer on. Your child can actually learn how to code in their homes, and it's completely free. So even if the resources might not be there all the time, because parents, we're not parents ourselves, but being busy. An older
the time
parents don't have time, and you know, we because we're doing our own thing, we're by ourselves, but parents don't have time. So you can create these environments for your children to learn, again, which is why, as you mentioned, Dr. Leanne, the importance of having a good home environment. Your child can learn how to code for free, and it's about finding these resources, looking at the talents that they have, and it might not just be code, it might be learning how to, like, using them as UX designers. So maybe finding different things that can help their creative capacities as well, from the comfort of their own home, whilst using technology. Technology doesn't have to be for bad, but if you don't use it within reason, it can turn for the worst.
Yeah, definitely. And that brings us on to our next step, actually, and looking at the time, we're going to have to wrap this up soon. But just looking at tools that, you know, so you've said about the Black Girls Code.
Yeah, the Code Along Junior,
So Code Along Junior, where can that be accessed?
On YouTube.
Oh, okay, just on YouTube.
It's just on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
So if you go onto Black Girls Code, on their YouTube channel, you'll see a Code Along Junior, and it'll be right there available.
Oh, okay. And Chin, what other tools have you experienced, or would you recommend parents can use?
Cool, interesting. So there's quite a few. My first introduction to coding was a piece of software called Scratch. Now it's essentially a game, and there's this character. You feed the character instructions, and it has to go from point A to point B, or it has to do certain things. Now, as an elderly person or someone more older, it doesn't really make sense, and it's not really going to bode well for you as you're trying to learn programming. But as a child, you're telling a child, you're giving them the ability to make their own game. That does something to them. They're now creators in a world where they're told what to do and they have no sense of freedom. You're telling them you're allowed to be free. So essentially, as you begin to work on that, you tell the character, go turn left, turn right. You know, if this happens, then go left. If that happens, go right. Essentially, they're the basics of programming, and you're tuning their mind to understand what programming is. And so obviously we're speaking about tech, but this is in particular about programming. You know, you're tuning their mind in regards to that. So that's the first thing I'll say. Definitely go on the website called scratch.com. Once you go there, you'll be able to teach your children how to code, and essentially, it just bursts that mindset in them, number one.
That's really good. So the things that you guys have spoken about are maybe for slightly older children, but still primary school age as well and upwards. So there are also for those of you parents of us that maybe you wouldn't necessarily sit your 3, 4-year-old, 5-year-old down in front of a computer or a laptop by themselves.
Yeah.
So you still have to take the time to go and do it, isn't it? But there are some STEM cards from Little Scholars Playground, and they have loads of different activities. They have building robots. You have to do basically tech-based activities, but they're very manual. So it uses a lot of household things like sticks, and you can use spoons and things like that. Like you can do homemade Play-Doh and use it to help with tech-based. There's tech. It covers the whole of STEM.
Nice.
So, but there are tech ones within that, and also for you as well, we have a downloadable from this this series or this segment of Career Insights and Getting into Tech, and that is accessible for free on the Marpeassembly website. So if you scroll down on to the On Fire radio section, you'll be able to see the link for the free downloadable. Now, this is for children that are slightly younger, but there are colouring activities, there are coding activities, and obviously as we are coming towards Easter as well, we have included a little something, a little Easter themed,
nice.
a little Easter themed thing in there for your children as well, and as parents as well. Have a go, try it, give it a try. So they are downloadable from the website, and they are a mustard seed learning activity booklet, so you can just download that for free and then work away with your children. And whether they get through it in one day, it might be something as well. Easter is coming up, the Easter holidays are coming up as well, so it can be something that is used and reused, and you can adapt it as well to suit your children. But there is something for all. So 2-year-olds, if they do it with you, they will be able to go through it, and then right up to older children as well. Yeah,
so seeing it on the website looks quite amazing. So Academic Crossroads on the main page, wrong camera. On the main page, Academic Crossroads, you'll see coding for kids, download here. Download the PDF, beautiful, amazing stuff. First, it's colourful, which is always a good thing when you're trying to appeal to children. I realise, and this makes sense, why do you think a lot of children's shows are very bright and colourful? I never really understood why until I realized it's trying to appeal to their senses. It's, you know, sense overload. But so it's a beautiful PDF, and quite excited to. I have to be careful.
Do you know what? The thing is, right? I know that Chin's going to download it and do
it. Why not? I thought if we're all about doing things leading by examples, we're also aunties and uncles. If we can say we've done this, it will encourage the kids to do it as well. So it's important.
I'm scared to do it and not really pass. Imagine.
You know what? It's okay.
That's what I'm a bit scared of.
It's okay. We'll do it in excellence. We'll try.
Amen.
So it does start off with some easier tasks, and then they do gradually get a bit more challenging. So for some of the tasks, you might be able to start off with your little ones and then leave them to it a little bit. And then for others, you might need to take the time to sit down with them to do that. But that is a Mustard Seed Learning downloadable, and you can access that on the Marpeassembly website if you scroll down to the On Fire radio section, and the link will be available for you. So thank you so much to my wonderful guests. Gloriness, our final year neuroscience, transitioning into tech extraordinaire.
Wow, what a title.
And Jinonso, our
you know what it is? I'm a man of many titles.
Our veteran in tech.
Amen. But
our veteran in tech, and also host of our Youth Beat show here on Fire Radio. Let's not leave that out. God is good. But thank you all so much for tuning in. The link is actually in the comment section as well. So once we finish the show, though not right now, once we finish the show, please do click the link and you will be able to access that straight away. So thank you all for tuning in. We really hope that you have gained a really good insight into tech, and that actually you have gotten something from these past episodes. So this is the first installment of career insights here on Academic Crossroads, and we will be covering so many different fields within this segment, and it will pop up throughout the year. It will pop up throughout the year and as we go, but we hope you have enjoyed it and it has been useful for you. But our tech stuff doesn't actually stop there, right?
Nah, it does not. So for those who are interested, and that's everybody, if you're my boy, you'll be interested, right? So for those who are actually drop a comment. So we're looking to actually do a live coding session. So think of it, taking away all the myths and the misconceptions about what coding may be. Imagine we're just live and we have 4 or 5 different app ideas and we code it literally on the spot, and you guys can add inputs, let's do this, let's do that, and it's all going to be live. But I'm making a suggestion, but I don't know, are you guys down for it? Maybe that. Nah. Okay.
Joseph said he's down. He said please.
That's my guy.
He put his hand up.
But if it's only him, won't do it. We'll just probably FaceTime.
Do a one-to-one,
if it's because no one else is.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Well, we'll wait and see.
We'll wait
and see. But we will have that in store because the summer is long, right?
Yeah,
the summer
100%.
is long.
Yeah.
So that will be something that we have in store for you all later in the summer. Steph said she's in. Goodness as well. Sean, I'm down for it, bro.
Come on.
Shay 100.
Hey.
Okay. So if there's enough people, maybe we'll run it. Tendai said if Glow is there, I am there.
I am certainly there.
Come on.
So thank you all for tuning in, and please do stay tuned because Youth Beat is up next. But that is all we have time for today. I've been your host, Dr. Leanne J, with my co-hosts Gloria Ness and Chinonso, and we have been here on Academic Crossroads, Career Insights, getting into tech. So we will see you same time, same place next week here on Fire Radio.
You have been listening to Academic Crossroads. Join us same time next week for more academic top tips with your host, Dr. Leanne J. Adeyemi.